people ask me, what's one of the keys to a relationship? Physical intimacy. It's a box you better be checking.
If you want to create intensity, it demands risk-taking, doing new things outside of your comfort zone, a little bit more on the edge.
Do not keep score, because you are poisoning all of the relationships that you start.
Want to be happy? Build a life, not just a business.
Living that believe in life. Out here living that believe in life. Every day we living that believe in life. Hustle like we living that believe in life. Living life, yeah, so we grinding it out. Every single day we be grinding it out. Hustle like we living that believe in life, oh. That believe in life, oh.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and this channel was created to help you overcome the #1 challenge that is holding you back, a lack of belief in yourself. You watch these videos because you know there's something more inside you too. You have Michael Jordan level genius at something. So today, let's live your best belief life and learn the 5 habits for a successful and happy relationship. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with habit number 1. Show an act of appreciation with Mel Robbins.
Well, he does a lot of my back office stuff for me, and I'm always waiting for him to help me. And like my coaches are like, you're fine, you can do it, but I'm like, you don't understand.
And he's the support, but he's not moving fast enough.
Right.
The reason why he's not is because he doesn't understand either how critical it is that he supports you.
Right.
He doesn't feel like he matters.
Probably, because I probably don't make him feel like he matters.
That's it, bingo.
Yeah.
If you were to leave here and do nothing but anytime you do, oh my God, I so appreciate that you just did that. You have no idea. Thank you, honey. If you were to bring him more into the business, not as in selling, but cheering for him, and making sure he understands that every stride you make is only because of what he's doing back at home.
Right. So true.
That will change how he behaves. Oh, I know it, because I have the part of our company that's out in the spotlight. My husband runs the books, runs legal, runs operations, runs HR, and is also the point parent while I travel. And so it'd be very easy to feel unappreciated because his role is not visible. I go out of my way to Snapchat at him, to acknowledge him, to elevate him, to thank him, to make him feel appreciated. Because that's what's missing. If somebody's not motivated on your team, whether it's your spouse or somebody else, they don't feel appreciated.
Okay.
That's why.
Habit number 2, practice physical intimacy with Ed Milet.
I have a philosophy about long-term relationships that isn't discussed very often. So for those of my friends that are in one that's, I don't know how long, but for some people long-term's a year, right? But for those of us that are in long-term relationships, I get asked often on shows, hey, what are one of the keys that I would not normally hear about that create a relationship that is still doing what you said earlier, which is so wonderful, where there really is this observation, there's separation, there's growth happening. And so there's all these things they say in a long term. Be honest with one another, be trustworthy, make sure you're communicating. One of the things that I find with my friends and I who have had long-term, really good relationships is physical intimacy still. And real attraction to one another physically. If everyone says, I want to marry my best friend, which you do, but you have a lot of friends and you don't need to be married to all of them. And one of the things I see in relationships is they start out where there's this physical chemistry, and I know relationships ebbs and flow. I'm not just talking about sex. I'm referring to physical touching and intimacy. When I was dating Christiana, her dad was older than her mother, and it was his second marriage. His first wife had died of cancer. And oftentimes in second marriages, I see people kind of know the second time around, maybe the mistakes they made the first time. In his case, his wife had actually passed away. But when I would date her, I would often pick her up. And when you'd walk up to their home, their front door, and I'd knock to come get her, you could see into their living room. And my family didn't have this. My parents have their own dynamic. But I would go to the front door, and more times than not, Matthew, more times than not every time, on a Saturday night I'd come to pick up my girlfriend for a date, I could look into the living room and the TV would be off. I get emotional because he's passed away, but they'd be slow dancing.
Wow.
And at an advanced age.
Wow.
They just slow dance in the living room together. Now, I don't know if that led to more than that in the bedroom afterwards, but they had real physical intimacy. They weren't just friends, they were lovers in every sense. physical lovers. That doesn't always necessarily mean, but people ask me, what's one of the keys to a relationship? Physical intimacy. It's a box you better be checking. There's got to be that touching and that physical attraction to have a passionate relationship. I love the book by my brother Evan Carmichael, Built to Serve, you guys. This is the kind of thing you get in this book. Most people wake up and drive to a job they hate. Think about your 5 closest friends. Are they happy? Do they live their lives with purpose? Do you? We put on a fake front for what we want people to see and think about us, but the reality is most people aren't happy. We're lost. We settle. You can't be happy if you don't know your purpose. And then he goes on to explain how to do that. You guys should get this book, Built to Serve, by my dear friend Evan Carmichael.
Habit number 3, do new things with your partner.
Doing new things. That
With your partner?
With your partner. That if you do the things that you enjoy, that's really nice, that's comfortable, that's cozy, that solidifies the friendship. But if you want to create intensity, it demands risk-taking, doing new things outside of your comfort zone, a little bit more on the edge.
How often should we be doing new things with our intimate partner?
I think as often, look, the answer to this is very simple. Often enough, but not too often that you become chaotic and you dysregulate. Right now you're asking me a systemic question. This is true for an individual, a relationship, or a company. If you don't change or grow, you fossilize and you die. If you change too much, too fast,
No stability.
there's no stability, you go chaotic and you dysregulate.
Right.
So how often? It depends on where you are at in your life. Are you the two of you? Do you have kids? Do you have little ones? Do you have aging parents? Are you taking care of somebody? What else is going on here? We'll tell you if this is a period where you need more stability or if this is a period where it's time to go and be curious and explore and discover and go into the world and launch.
Habit number 4, be willing to compromise with Sarah Blakely and Jesse Itzler.
When you get married, there's a lot of things that you never considered before. Your philosophy around parenting, your philosophy around food, your philosophy around what schools you want to go to, on how you want to discipline your kids. There's a lot of scenarios that you never think about. And it's just, you have to have a partner that is flexible, and you have to be flexible in those main buckets because they'll tear apart a marriage.
To be open-minded.
They'll tear it apart, man. You have to be aligned in those buckets, and there's more. And
aligned or willing to compromise,
right?
Because it's a lot of compromising.
But you guys are both like driven, high achieving, stuck to your mindset type of people because it's what got you to where you are. What was the hardest thing for you guys to be flexible about, each one of you?
To be totally honest, food.
Because you're a vegan.
We come from different schools of thoughts.
You eat meat, right, Sarah?
And by the way, Louis, food's not so easy because I don't know, the last time I checked, you needed to live. And the last time I checked, you have 3 meals a day, 21 a week. So if you're not aligned and the energy is like this,
Wow. Food is the biggest challenge for you guys.
Well, it's something that I'm deeply passionate about.
Yeah.
And very well read and have very strong opinions on.
And you speak about publicly all the time about.
Right. So it's the hardest thing for me to budge and move.
Wow.
And Sarah's been very patient in this, and we've really come really far, very far. We've actually basically solved what could have been a really big problem.
Really?
If anything is a big problem, if you let it bubble and escalate and then resent anything.
So how did you solve the?
We compromised
with a meat eater.
We compromised. We worked at it. Wow. We invested.
One compromise is with the kids don't eat red meat, but we do turkey and chicken. So that was like a big kind of meet in the middle for us. I eat these things in moderation, but it was important to me to kind of, my biggest thing was I didn't want to focus on food in our family. I didn't want it to be a big subject. I didn't want the children to feel limited or too controlled around food. And so it's very difficult when you're with someone who's
uber controlling around food.
Well, whose intentions are pure.
Yeah, and wants to live a long life, healthy.
His philosophies make a lot of sense. I mean, it's not like he's So
You've seen every documentary on veganism, haven't you? So
this was a messy bucket for us, but we continue to talk it out and work it out, and we've really come a long way on that.
And habit number 5, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is nurture the relationship with Jordan Harbinger.
As a friend reaching out and saying, hey, I'm launching a book in a few months, would love to do the show. Also, here's a bunch of other things happening. The reason this is important is most people don't build these relationships before they need them. And these are the same people that they obviously have a spare tire in the trunk of their car, so if they get a flat on the highway, they're taken care of. But if they want to build a relationship, they're not thinking about digging that well before they're thirsty. So they're only looking at what help they need when they need it. And that is a huge mistake. You have to dig the well before you're thirsty, and you have to give without the attachment to getting something in return. So when people want to reach out, stop thinking about what's in it for you. Start thinking about only what's in it for other people. And if you don't worry about what's in it for you, you will find opportunities that come later down the line. And to sort of illustrate this, when I moved to LA, I had a toothache, and it started to get more and more painful. And it really was starting to just dig into my brain. I couldn't think. I didn't have a car. I moved from New York. This is pre-Uber. I didn't have dental insurance because I was 27, and who cares about your teeth, right? You think about those later. I'll get new ones. And so I started to desperately call dentists, and they were like, oh, look, I don't take new patients, or I can see you in a week. Go to the ER if you have a toothache. And I'm thinking, a week? I haven't slept. This thing is killing me. So I posted on Facebook, and obviously I didn't have my privacy settings set correctly because a random stranger filled in the comment and said, my aunt's a dentist near you. Do you want me to give her a call? And I said, sure, yeah. So I went to his aunt the next morning before they officially opened, got that thing drilled the hell out, got it filled. She didn't overcharge me. I send this guy a message, thank you so much. He goes, no problem, man. I don't know what you do. I heard you have some show that my friend likes, but I'm glad you got your tooth taken care of. And I said, let me know if there's anything I can do. He said, well, I'm a graphic designer, but I'm working at a cafe right now as a barista. I would love to just not make another cup of coffee again. And I said, well, I don't have any work for you, but I'll keep my ear to the ground. He said, whatever you can do, no problem. I don't expect you to give me a job. 4 days later, another entrepreneur friend of mine, she writes me and says, my web guys are blowing it. I keep firing them. Who can create good branding for me? I said, I've never worked with this guy, but here's a portfolio. He's a nice person. That's really all I can say. That guy got a full-time job, as far as I know, still works there years later, designing websites and templates and themes and branding for this woman's company because he helped me find a dentist on Facebook. So if he'd been thinking, how do I get a job? He would never have made that introduction to a dentist because the connection, the nexus is unclear. The opportunity lie over the horizon. But since he was helping without the attachment or expectation of anything in return, he ended up finding an opportunity through me that I didn't know about and that he didn't know about. But you won't find those unless you are constantly reaching out, digging the well before you're thirsty, and giving without that expectation of anything in return. And last but not least, people keep score now, and this is bad. Do not keep score. And what I mean by that is if you interview someone and then you help them, you drive them to the airport, they don't owe you anything. But people in our heads, we create these covert contracts. And the reason they're called covert contracts is because it exists in my head, but it doesn't exist in yours. So we've got this weird agreement where I drive you to the airport, and then I pick you up, and I drive you again, and I pick you up, and you're like, hey, Jordan, such a good friend. He's always got time for me. He wakes up early, so he doesn't mind driving me to the airport for my super early flights. And in my head, I go, one day, I'm gonna make Tom have me on his show, and I'm gonna sell my magical weight loss formula. And then one day I pitch this to you, and you go, oh, not totally a fit for what we're doing here at Impact Theory. I'll help you in other ways if I can. And then in my head, I go, you son of a right, I'm mad at you now because you broke the deal that I created in my head. You broke the contract, the covert contract. So I'm starting to be passive aggressive. I'm angry with you. I can't change my behavior. Even if it's a little subconscious, I'm a little bit colder towards you and our friendship gradually dies. Why did this happen? You didn't do anything wrong. I created an agreement in my head where you started to owe me something and you didn't reciprocate, and that made me angry. People do this. We do this subconsciously. We think other people owe us. If someone creates opportunities for you, you introduce them to a bunch of people, you help them out a lot, that's it. There's no agreement to reciprocate. Now, if someone helps you, you should reciprocate where you can. If someone doesn't reciprocate towards you, though, do not keep score, because you are poisoning all of the relationships that you start. Because you don't know how that person might be able to help you in the future. You don't want to create a bad reputation for yourself. And you will spend years thinking this person, they're a one-sided friend. They're not a friend. This person didn't do this thing for me. And years later down the line, you just have no idea what could have been, because you're poisoning all of your own relationships.
Now I've got a special bonus clip that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, it's time for the question of the day. I want to know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video? And what is your plan of action that you're going to execute this week to make some immediate momentum happen? When you just get motivated and watch a video, you have a 35% chance of following through. That's what the science says. But when you write down what time, what day, what place you're actually going to execute, when you create the plan, you have a 91% chance of following through. And I want that for you. And when you commit to people publicly, you increase your chances even more of actually doing it. So I want to know what your single biggest takeaway from this video was, and your specific plan of action to actually get the result you're after. Let me know. Put it down in the comments below, because I want to celebrate you.
I think if you have a partner who doesn't support your business, you're either going to lose your business or going to lose your partner. It's really hard to be mission driven and want to have a successful company and be in a relationship with somebody who doesn't support you. I think there's 4 buckets that people fall into. 2 of them are negative and 2 of them are positive. The 2 on the negative side, you have a partner who just absolutely hates what you're doing. You have a partner who just doesn't believe in what you're doing. They hate it. They think you should quit. They think it's tearing down the family. They just don't want you to do anything related to that business. And that really sucks as a place to be in. You can't continue on with your business and your relationship. You have to figure out a way to make it happen. You support them. Support them first. If you are supporting them in their career, in their ambitions, in their drive, and what they're looking for, you're much more likely to get support back on you. If you are just expecting support 24/7, but you're not giving it first, it's really hard. So if you want to get it back, you want to receive, start by giving. And so they may not want to be an entrepreneur. That may not be how you support them. But could you support them in their career? Could you support them in their friendships? Could you support them in your relationship? Like, what are they after? What are their goals? What are their aspirations? What do they need help with? Do they just need somebody to come home and listen to them for half an hour when they walk in the door? What is it? What does support look like for them? Not your version of it. You know what you want. What's their version of it? And how can you support them in accomplishing their goals, their ambitions, their aspirations? You support them first, and then you'll get a little more support on your end, I promise.
If you want to change your life in the next 30 days for free, check out my training right here below. Or if you want to learn how to transform your relationships with Tony Robbins, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy them. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.